Hey everybody, today I'm coming to you from a hotel room in Los Angeles because I'm down in LA to take one of the first glimpses at the upcoming Ford Mach-E, except that between the time that I got on the plane and I ended up at the hotel, a whole bunch of information suddenly got leaked. Here's how it all went down. Someone over at one of the Mach-E forums on the internet was just exploring, trying to find a link that might work at the Ford.com website. Supposedly they found one, and they found a treasure trove of info, which is what we're going to cover in this video. It looks like the Mach-E is going to be the first real, true competitor to the Model 3. As you know, I've said before here at Alex and Autos that all the other EVs that we've driven so far are not really the same sort of thing as a Model 3. There are a variety of different reasons for that. Something like a Jaguar I-Pace is not a direct corollary to the Tesla Model X. It's more of a corollary to the Model Y, which doesn't exist yet. There have been other EV hatchbacks out there, front-wheel drive vehicles like a Kona, the Niro, the Leaf, etc. None of those are like a Tesla Model 3. But this is really going to be the first one. Of course, there is the Polestar 2, which a lot of people have been talking about, but based on the overall projections, we're probably going to see the Mach-E on dealer lots before we see the Polestar 2 in America. The Polestar 2 is also significantly more expensive, and thanks to the fact that Ford still has tax credits available, you're probably going to be able to get in a Mach 3 for well under $40,000. So let's dive into what we know now. First up, Ford is calling the Mach-E a Mustang-inspired or a Mustang electric SUV, whatever you want to call it. This really is the future of sedans or crossovers, whatever you want to look at it, within the Ford umbrella. Ford recently said that they're not going to be making any traditional sedans anymore, and that definitely seems to be true. But I think the Mach-E also tells us what the sedan-like future is for Ford. You can tell this is not a boxy crossover. This does not look like a Ford Explorer or even a Ford Edge or anything along those lines. This definitely looks perhaps a little bit more like a Mustang that's been overinflated a little bit. According to the information that's been leaking out, we should be seeing about 29 or 30 cubic feet of storage space in the back, and like most other new EVs coming out lately, it's going to have a frunk up front, very much like the Tesla Model S and of course the Tesla Model 3. That's going to be around 5 cubic feet overall, and Ford tells us it should be water resistant and it's going to have a drain plug, so if you want to use your frunk as a cooler, you can do that as well. Bearing in mind that we're talking about leaks here, so some of this information is not going to be 100% accurate. There are likely going to be changes by the time we actually see the Mach-E on the road in late 2020. But some of the big news that we did see is the new interior, and the new interior definitely is very Tesla-esque, but importantly with a twist. Instead of going all minimalist with just one screen in the middle of the dashboard, we have a huge tablet-oriented screen there with one physical knob right in the middle, and then we have a big instrument cluster behind the steering wheel. And that's ergonomically one of my complaints about the Model 3. Tesla went a little too minimalist in my opinion. I really wish they'd given us at least a very small speedometer right there behind the steering wheel, exactly in your glance line. One of the troubles with the Tesla setup is that you're glancing off to the side and down a little bit to check on your speed, interact with that system there. Being in the instrument cluster keeps your eyes a little bit closer to the road, so that way the road is at least in your peripheral vision as you're playing with that instrument cluster. So we definitely see that improvement on the interior of the Mach-E. Now, what is the build quality going to be like? Is it going to be Tesla Model 3 level build quality, which honestly is pretty good on the inside? That we don't know yet, but by the pictures it definitely looks decent. Hopefully Ford reached out to their Lincoln subdivision and got some of those Lincoln engineers working on that interior, because if it can match what's going on in the Model 3 for its lower price, I think the Mach-E could be an interesting winner. Now, Ford has said it's going to be available in the US, it's going to be available in Canada, it's also going to be available in China, and it looks like it's going to be available in all 50 states, which is definitely different than some of the other EVs that are available. Bearing in mind that we're going off of essentially leaked information that may not be 100% accurate or 100% final, it looks like there are going to be two different battery packs in the Mach-E for 2020 and for 2021. There's going to be a standard range battery pack and an extended range battery pack. Expect capacities to come in somewhere around 60 kilowatt hours for the standard battery pack, likely somewhere around 80 or perhaps 85 kilowatt hours for the extended range battery pack. According to the leaked details, that means that the standard range in rear-wheel drive should give you about 230 miles of range. All-wheel drive will drop that down to 210 miles of range, which is a little bit better than the absolute smallest battery pack that we see in the Tesla Model 3. Remember, of course, that I am talking about the software-limited standard range battery pack, the absolute base $35,000 model that appears to not be in production anymore. Then we have the extended range battery pack that will give you 300 miles of range with rear-wheel drive, drops that down to 270 if you add all-wheel drive. Very much like we see in the Tesla model lineup, overall performance definitely seems to go up when you add the all-wheel drive option as well. The base model, which is going to be the Select trim, will be available in either all-wheel drive or rear-wheel drive, standard battery pack only. That should give you 255 horsepower and 306 pound-feet of torque if you choose rear-wheel drive, 429 pound-feet of torque if you choose all-wheel drive. It's worth noting that it appears that the battery pack is what's limiting the horsepower output. According to leaked information, that should give you 0 to 60 in the mid 6-second range, down to the mid 5-second range if you choose all-wheel drive, thanks to that added torque. If you move up one step into the California Route 1 edition, you get the choice of rear-wheel drive or all-wheel drive and extended range or standard range on the battery pack. That will allow you to go 255 horsepower and 306 pound-feet of torque on the low end, up to 333 horsepower and 429 pound-feet of torque. But then there's the GT model. That's going to be available shortly after the other models, early 2021 we're being told. That's going to give you all-wheel drive standard, 250 miles of range, and 0 to 60 times that are under 4 seconds. So expect that to compete very, very directly with the Model 3 performance. So expect that model to compare very, very directly with the fastest version available of the Model 3 at the moment. I wouldn't be too surprised if that ended somewhere around 3.6 or 3.7 seconds, 0 to 60. The reason I'm so excited about the Mach-E is that this leaked information indicates that the Mach-E is definitely going to undercut the Polestar 2 when it comes to overall pricing, and it's going to be very competitive with the Model 3, something that's definitely critical in this segment. It's going to start right around $43,900. $43,895 is the leaked number online. And remember that Ford still qualifies for the full $7,500 tax credit and certain state and local incentives depending on where you live around the country. If you just take that tax credit into account, however, it'll end up at $36,395 for the absolute base model. Remember that at the end of the 2019 calendar year, all tax credits are going to disappear for the Tesla Model 3. At the moment, it is a very, very small tax credit. By the time January 1 rolls around, that tax credit is going to be completely gone. So definitely keep that in mind when you're thinking of the Mach-E versus something like that Tesla Model 3. They're going to start around the same price because it does appear that you can still get a Model 3 for under $40,000 or so, but it's not going to have autopilot, it's not going to have their adaptive cruise control system, etc. However, the Mach-E will. It will come standard with LED headlights, the smartphone as key, memory seats, navigation, the Copilot 360 system, which is Ford's all-encompassing active safety system that includes adaptive cruise control, and an 8-year 100,000-mile battery warranty. The next trim up from there is the premium trim, which will be available at launch in late 2020. That will be $50,600 or $40,100 after the federal tax credit. There's also going to be a first edition available right away, again also qualifying for the tax credit. That'll be $59,900. If you want the high performance version, the GT trim, that's going to be $60,500, again qualifying for the tax credit. That one's going to be available in early 2021, so expect it to be at least 13 to 14 months from now. Bottom line, all these numbers look pretty exciting. The real question will be, can Ford deliver on the product that we've seen so far? Can they improve on those numbers by the time they actually launch the vehicle as well? And will the GT be a true competitor to something like the dual-motor Model 3 in its performance trim? At the moment, that dual-motor Model 3 seems to have a longer range than the Mach-E GT. The Mach-E GT is saying about 250 miles of range. That dual-motor Model 3 is right up there around 300 to 310, depending on how much you want to believe those numbers. The Ford will, however, be a little bit less expensive, $53,000 versus $56,000 currently, and we don't know all of the details about what you're going to get in that GT trim. We do know, however, that if you don't want the full glass roof that we do see in some of the Mach-E photos, that you'll be able to avoid that in the Mach-E, and you can't in the Model 3. That was one of my complaints in the model that we bought and drove for a short while, was that you could never close off that glass roof. It was just always there. I would really like a roller shade in that. We don't know exactly what the shade situation is going to be in the Ford, but if you don't want it at all, you can avoid that completely in the Mach-E. We also know that you're going to be able to put deposits down on the Mach-E. Those should already be available by the time you're watching this video, or they're coming very soon. Basically the same sort of thing that was going on at Tesla, $500 for a reservation, get your name in line so you can be the first to get your hands on that car. With all that out of the way, let me know what you think about everything down there in the comments section below. Let me know if you're as excited as I am about the Mach-E. Also, let me know if you think this really deserves to be called a Mustang. I'm a little bit torn on that, but I can't blame Ford for trying. Ford Mustang is one of the most popular searched models of vehicle on the internet, on social media, etc. So It goes without saying that Ford wanted to capitalize on that particular name, and they're definitely making an accessible performance EV out there, which is the part that I'm really interested in. Again, a lot of other EVs out there from the competition are not direct competitors to the Model 3. They're not rear-wheel drive. They don't have the performance that we see. They don't have the efficiency that we see in the Model 3 either. But if Ford can deliver on everything that they've promised and everything that we're hoping, we'll have a direct competitor that could be purchased at your local Ford dealer, which is definitely going to be a lot more convenient than the purchasing situation at Tesla in some of those other states, and of course be able to be serviced in all 50 states in the country. Let me know what you think about that down there in the comments section below, and I will see you all later.